Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for stopping by again. This time I'm not sitting at home, but I'm out on the road and have a chance here to talk with Brenda from California, who's down and just beginning to get her condo together here in Panama City. Now, as I've mentioned in some other videos, and I will be mentioning again in videos in the next week or so, we offer a service called Metro Match, which helps bring people at no cost to them together with apartments or condos or whatever it is they're looking for in the Panama City metropolitan area. And this whole idea came as a result of our meeting Brenda. And she is the reason why the program exists. And I thought since she was in town, I would take this opportunity to ask her if she'd just share a few words with us. So, Brenda, it's good to have you here.
It's very nice to be here. We started looking for a place to have a second place, possibly move. We're both retired, myself and my husband. So I spent some time on the internet looking at different places and chose Panama. And I chose Panama for a variety of reasons. I think it's fairly secure. American dollars helps for us, wouldn't help people from other countries. You can drink the water. In most places in Panama, I don't like having this constant bottled water and being careful. And we are bird watchers and nature lovers, and so Panama is a wonderful undiscovered gem. The bird watchers have discovered it, and I think Bob just told me that it was the number 5 on the world list for birds, so it's a wonderful place. We've also been out to the islands. So before coming here, we had two visits here, and we had liked it both times. I think the last thing is the friendliness of the Panamanians. We just have not had uncomfortable or difficult experiences here. That's not to say that it's a piece of cake to buy a property in another country, but people have been extremely helpful and extremely friendly.
Good. Well, what brought you to me? When you wrote me that email, how did that come about?
I was using the internet like everyone does, kind of looking for places, how to retire in Panama. I also looked at some other countries, as I said, but settled on Panama. And there are some commercial outfits out there. It's a little bit hard to sort it out. Every deal sounds like the best deal that you've ever seen. And Panama has plenty of beautiful places to photograph and to try to convince you. But it was a little hard to figure out how to get started. And you read all this stuff and you say, okay, what do I do now? And my son-in-law, who's Canadian, he likes to surf around the internet and knew I was looking, and he came upon Retirement Wave and Bob Adams' name. So that's how I got in touch with you. So I thought, this sounds like a guy I should talk to and should meet. And so I wrote to you and said we were very interested in looking in Panama. I even researched the areas of Panama City or the areas of Panama in general. Depending on what somebody wants to do, they can go to Boquete, which is American colony. I think it's cooler than here. It has lots to recommend it. We wanted to be where we would meet Panamanians and get a feel for Panamanian life. And so we decided Panama City was central. It's got most of the comforts of home, and you can go out from here. You can go out almost anywhere you want. So we thought it was central. It's also a direct flight from where we live, which is in the Bay Area in California.
So she told me, I'd like to be in this particular neighborhood. I'd like to be near a metro stop, if I remember correctly, and things of this sort. It was very, and of course, as well as her price range. So she gave me enough information that I thought, all right, this is something that we can actually deal with. Otherwise, if someone is completely unfamiliar with the city and has no idea where they're looking or what they're looking for, then it gets really difficult to deal with them. It's a huge city. So in this case, that wasn't the case. And that's one reason why recent videos, and I'm going to have a couple more coming down talking more, one coming down particularly talking about neighborhoods in the city, trying to help people get an idea, because I know how difficult it is to try to choose a neighborhood when all the words are weird and strange and you don't know how they relate to each other or what's near the center of town or what's a long ways away. So this clarity on her part was a great assistance. As you interact with me, and as we talk more and as I share more with you, you may have a better idea at some point of the area you want to be in, and that will be very helpful if you're interested in this service.
I think that's absolutely wonderful that you will do something on the neighborhoods of Panama, because I spent a lot of time. I got rudimentary subway maps of projected lines, and then I tried to figure out where they were actually going. We are retired. We do not want to drive in Panama City. It's trafficy here. It's just not something we want to do. So we definitely wanted to be where we could get the metro. And with 5 more lines, I believe, coming in Panama City, you'll be able to get from the airport. I think you'll be able to get to the canal. And that's terrific. So we wanted to be near the metro, but in reading El Cangrejo, which is the neighborhood we chose, seemed to come out up a lot. That there's international schools, I think it's a lot of young people here, there's a good nightlife. I read it that it had a European flavor. We weren't looking for a rich golf club kind of community, but if you are, it would be very helpful to know what neighborhood that would be. I think that's the one up the north along the coast. They're building a lot of homes up there. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't our cup of tea. By the way, today I just went to the beautiful Metropolitan Park. So if you're interested in nature, the Metropolitan Park is a real gem for Panama City.
Well, how did it actually happen? I mean, we got together, I could talk about it, but from your perspective, we got together and we spoke, and what went on in our service, so to speak, to you?
You emailed me that, first you asked me if I was serious, and I said, yes, I can't guarantee that we'll be down and in so many days find a place. You found us a wonderful person to show us around, John Moses. He's a builder primarily, but he was wonderful. And I think he showed us about 12 apartments in the area that we were looking in, perhaps a bit in Obarrio, which is another neighborhood. And then we made a decision. We just went right ahead and did it. You also were able to provide us with a lawyer. And you cannot buy property in Panama without a lawyer. There is no such thing as escrow. And so everything has to be negotiated face to face. So you need a competent lawyer in order to do that. And so Bob was able to give us names. We've been very happy with those people. And so it feels a bit like family.
Did you feel that he was actually finding places that met your criteria? Was he trying to push some more expensive property or anything? Because these are complaints about other people that we hear.
My understanding about John is that he is not working for a realty company per se. And so I didn't feel that he had any agenda other than to find us the place that we wanted. We had already said we wanted 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. So we knew that we were looking in that price range. I think we gave you a price range, mm-hmm. and we were looking for a particular type of apartment. So he was very, very good in showing us different ones. And some had people living in them, a few were empty, I think. It's hard with people living in them to know exactly how you do things, but on the other hand, it also is nice that it looks lived in and people are there. Yes. So this was actually the first one we looked at, and the one we came back to.
Yes, I remember that, because I was with you that first time. I wasn't able to join in all of them, and I thought at the time, this is a good thing, and I was quite positive about it too. We went to see a couple others and not so impressed from my perspective.
No.
But that's, of course, I didn't say anything because it was yours. But I know that John felt it was important that you get a variety.
Oh, he was as nice as he could be. But I also looked at a couple of prices of apartments since we bought it, and I think we were right in the range that we should have been in. We weren't buying an apartment as an investment to make money. We were buying a place that we could live in. And I think we did fine. I think we did absolutely fine. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Because as a result, now we have this idea that we may be able to help some other people. And that would never have come up if you hadn't gotten hold of me and we began this process. Well, in summary, you're here now. You painted the apartment. You've been working on it. I mean, everything's coming together. Do you plan to come down to live in not too distant future?
We're not sure. We're really not quite sure how much time. We have a dog at home, and that's a problem for us because we love our dog. But we love Panama, so we're going to be dividing our time. Exactly how that will work out, don't know. Depends on health, depends on our families, etc. But we definitely want to spend time down here. So, and we're do-it-yourselfers. So we've learned all the stores where you can go in and somehow get what you need. I speak some Spanish. My husband doesn't speak any, but we've managed okay, not without some tough moments. But that's one of the advantages of living in a foreign country is you stretch out your expectations and you meet new people, and it's safe. The safe thing is to stay at home.
Yeah. Well, by all means, bring the dog. Come down and stay and live here.
The veterinarian said it's very difficult from the States. She looked at me and said, "Don't do it unless you absolutely have to."
It's not that hard if the dog's going to stay here with you. If you're going to do it 3 times a year or something. It's
well, we have to fly with him. We haven't done that. He's small. He's 13 pounds, and he's probably about at the limit. So we may end up doing that. But right now we're looking for good homes for him when we're gone.
Well, the day comes. We have a pet relocation service here that does this sort of thing and gets it all set up at this end. So, usually there's a service somewhere in Panama City to meet pretty much any need you can come up with. It's finding it that's the first challenge because it's a big city, but it's there. And we always Panamanians love pets. Well, in summary, how do you feel about the whole thing? Would you recommend it to other people?
Yes, I would definitely recommend it. It couldn't have gone better. The sale part of it couldn't have gone better. I think it's not easy to get through jump through the hoops that you need to jump through in any country. And Panama's probably one of the better ones. Mm-hmm. But you do have various steps you have to go through, and you have to have a lawyer to do that. So that process is somewhat complicated. But the finding the apartment, buying the apartment, it all went very, very well. We couldn't be happier. We love our location. I think we got a good price because we're on the 13th floor, which might have, and we didn't spend a lot of time bargaining. We did ask for the air conditioning and appliances to stay in the apartment. So, but we feel totally fine about it, and we are happy that it worked out as well as it did.
Well, we're very happy that it worked out for you too, and that you've come to join us here in Panama. So,
well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you for bringing this whole idea to the fore. Maybe we can get to help somebody else in the future.
I hope so. I would recommend it highly.
And next time if we talk and film, be sure Gary's down here to visit with us too, because he's a great guy. So.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Okay, you're welcome.
And thank you for stopping by again to see another video. I will be back to you very soon, and my plan is the next video we'll talk about neighborhoods. It'll be a beginning. You can't be here, but you can at least see where you may be headed, and possibly give you some ideas as to where you'd want to live if the city works for you. But whether it does or not isn't the point. It's just good to hear from you, it's good to see you, and I look forward to it the next time. Hi. I just wanted to add a few very brief comments here and a mention of what's coming down the road to prepare you for that. First off, I need to thank Brenda for taking the time to sit down and talk with me. She was still in the midst of getting that apartment put together and painted the whole thing. They've got furniture coming. They've got all sorts of things happening. And for her to take that time off was very generous of her, and I do appreciate it. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about editing and so forth, because that's an issue. My attitude is very simple. We are real people living in a real city, in a real nation, in a real world that's full of fakery. You know, fake news. Well, you know that you can Photoshop a picture until it turns into a work of art. And the same thing can be done with videos. Editing is necessary for a decent video, but taken too far, it can create a false impression. And I'm sort of a stickler on that. I really feel firmly on the reality side of it. So there was no serious editing going on here at all, and that which you just saw, with the one exception, a period of time that we sat and talked about pet relocation services in detail. We cut that out because it had nothing to do that was relevant to the subject. That can be discussed at a different time. Otherwise, when I walked in, there was no script or anything of that sort. I just sat down with Brenda and I said, I'm going to ask you how you happened to come to Panama and how you experienced our service and so forth. You say whatever you want. And that's exactly how we proceeded. Now, we could have, when it was over, edited it, and it was edited, just a little bit, but not very much. We could have done it a little differently to make it look a little nicer, and me perhaps a little less top-heavy, things like that. But I decided to leave it as it is, because let's keep this YouTube channel as real as possible, just as I do with these amateur videos I do in my house when I have the chance. So that I wanted to explain that. Some people seem to feel that I need to make fancier videos, they're prettier videos. There are the right time and the right place for that sort of thing, but they're not relevant for most of the subjects that we're going to be discussing here. I think that pretty much sums it up. I just wanted to keep it real for you. Now, what's coming down the road? This is something a little different. One of the biggest complaints I get from people regarding the city specifically is that when they look at, say, real estate ads or tourist sites or one thing or another, they read about neighborhoods, or what seem to be. They'll read something about some place called Bay Vista and some place called San Francisco and some place called El Barrio and so forth. They have no idea where those places are. They say, Bob, I just have no way to get a feel for what that means in terms of the rest of the city. So that is going to be the primary focus of the video that's coming down the road, and it is turning out to be a little bit more work than I expected, but that's all right. I want to do as good a job as I possibly can. It will teach you that there are two classifications of place name in this city. One is are really legal entities, so to speak. They're sub-districts of the city. They have boundaries, and working with Google Maps, you can have it outline those boundaries for you so you can see how that particular piece of the puzzle of Panama City fits in with the others. There are 13 of these sub-districts. Now within them are any number of neighborhoods, and neighborhoods don't have boundaries per se. They're much less formal. They don't have any legal standing per se. So the whole thing is confusing. And let me give you an example. You might see an advertisement for a condominium in Bay Vista and think that's pretty nice, and then see another one that looks very similar and looks about the same price, but it's in El Barrio, and you think, oh, where's Bay Vista? Where's El Barrio? I mean, what does this mean? When in fact, El Barrio is a neighborhood in the sub-district of Bay Vista. So you could be looking at two condominiums in buildings next door to each other. They could be in the same building, but you would have no way of knowing that. So that's exactly what I'm focused on. And by using Google Maps and showing you how I use them, it gives you an opportunity to do it yourself, to get a better feel for that city. So that when you come here and you're headed off to see El Cangrejo, as Brenda was originally, and then someone says, we want to show you some places in El Barrio, as John did with her, you get an understanding of what they're talking about, and you have a comfort level here that you don't have presently. So that's where the focus is going. I'm making it as practical as I possibly can, especially so that you can do it yourself. It's sort of a lesson in how to deal with this from your own computer when you have the time and you come across something or some place or some neighborhood or whatever and you have no idea where the heck it is in the city. So that's what's coming down the road. I will get it done as soon as I can. Until then, thanks again for stopping by.